History loves a clean myth, that the Renaissance woke the world up and that Europe alone solved the body's secrets. But here's the truth that hits harder. Centuries before modern physiology, a physician in the Islamic world caught a mistake so big it controlled medicine for over 1,000 years. And he corrected it with one fearless sentence. His name was Ibn al-Nafis. At the time, the medical world was chained to Galen, an older authority whose ideas echoed through classrooms like law. One claim ruled them all, that blood could pass straight through the heart's wall, from the right side to the left, through invisible pores. It was taught, repeated, memorized, because it had the stamp of tradition. But Ibn al-Nafis looked at that claim and did something almost nobody dared to do. He said no, not maybe, not I disagree politely. He argued the wall between the ventricles is solid, no pores, and if blood reaches the left side of the heart, it must travel another route. And then he revealed the route. Blood, he explained, moves from the right ventricle to the lungs, mixes with air there, and then returns to the left side of the heart. That is the pulmonary circulation, described clearly long before it became mainstream elsewhere. Even modern references acknowledge his statement that blood must pass through the lungs to get from the right side to the left. Now here's where the story gets even more cinematic. Ibn al-Nafis was not working in some quiet village far from power. He lived in a world of empires, courts, and pressure, moving from Damascus into Egypt, rising into elite medical rank. Later sources describe him becoming chief of physicians, and even serving as a physician connected to the highest leadership of his era, including the Mamluk ruler Baybars. So why didn't this shake the world immediately? Because being right is not enough. You need distribution. You need institutions that carry your work across borders. You need the right language, the right libraries, the right political wines. Ibn al-Nafis wrote in a scholarly ecosystem where texts could be treasured, yet still remain trapped. And once a perfect authority, like Galen, becomes doctrine, challenging it is like challenging a throne. Most people don't attack the throne. They protect it. That's the hidden law of history. When a civilization decides a book is sacred knowledge, the next genius can show proof and still be treated like noise. Modern scholarship has been blunt about what Ibn al-Nafis did. Medical historians describe him as the first to challenge the Galenic claim that blood crosses the heart wall, and they credit him with an early correct description of the pulmonary route. So here is the big truth. The world didn't discover pulmonary circulation once. It discovered it, and then forgot who deserved the credit. And Ibn al-Nafis is the symbol of a pattern that repeats across history, especially in the centuries around the Islamic Golden Age. A mind appears. An old belief collapses. The truth is written down, and then power, distance, and time bury it until someone else rediscovers it and gets the applause. If you want to understand how knowledge really moves, don't only study victories, study the geniuses who were right too early and what it cost them. History often celebrates the moment someone makes a bold claim. What it rarely celebrates is the person who quietly fixes the math that makes truth possible. This is the story of Abu al-Wafa al-Buzjani, a man who corrected the mathematics of the heavens centuries before Europe was ready to understand what he had done. In the 10th century, the Islamic world stood at its intellectual peak. Baghdad was not just a capital, it was the center of global science. This was the era of the Abbasid Caliphate, when rulers funded scholars, observatories, translators, and mathematicians as a matter of state policy. But even in this golden environment, science was not perfect. Astronomy, inherited from Greek authorities like Ptolemy, was powerful but flawed. The models worked well enough to predict planetary motion, but the mathematics underneath them was inefficient, imprecise, and sometimes wrong. Trigonometry, the backbone of astronomy, was still fragmented, more a collection of geometric tricks than a unified science. That was the error, and Abu al-Wafa saw it clearly. Born in the year 940 in the region of Buzgan, in eastern Persia, Abu al-Wafa was trained in both mathematics and astronomy. He eventually moved to Baghdad, where he worked under the Abbasid scientific establishment during the reigns of caliphs who valued calculation as much as conquest. At the time, astronomers relied heavily on Greek chord tables, awkward tools inherited from antiquity. These methods were slow, prone to error, and increasingly inadequate for the precision demanded by new observations. Abu al-Wafa did not reject Greek science. He repaired it. His first breakthrough was transforming trigonometry into a standalone mathematical discipline. Instead of treating it as a side tool of geometry, he formalized trigonometric functions and gave them systematic meaning. He worked extensively with the sine function, producing some of the most accurate sine tables of the medieval world. Calculations so precise that European astronomers would not surpass them for centuries. According to later historians of mathematics, his tables reached a level of accuracy unmatched in the West until the Renaissance. But his most revolutionary contribution was introducing and formalizing the tangent and secant functions for astronomical use. This matters more than it sounds. With tangent and secant, astronomers could calculate angles, distances, and celestial movements with far greater efficiency. Navigation improved. Observations became more reliable. Models of the sky became testable instead of approximate. Abu al-Wafa also identified and corrected mathematical inconsistencies in Ptolemy's Almagest. At a time when ancient authorities were still treated with near religious reverence, this was a bold intellectual move. He wasn't attacking tradition. He was upgrading it. And yet, this upgrade didn't travel far, at least not with his name attached. Why? Because mathematics doesn't spread like stories. It spreads through manuscripts, teaching chains, and institutions. Abu al-Wafa's work circulated within the Islamic world, influencing astronomers and mathematicians who came after him. But when this knowledge later moved westward into Latin Europe, it often arrived stripped of attribution. European scholars inherited improved trigonometry, but not its history. By the time trigonometric functions became standard in European science, the narrative had shifted. Credit flowed forward to Renaissance mathematicians, not backward to Baghdad. Modern historians of mathematics are blunt about this. Works such as J.L. Berggren's Episodes in the Mathematics of Medieval Islam and the MacTutor History of Mathematics archive identify Abu al-Wafa as a central figure in the development of trigonometry, particularly for his work on tangent functions and precise tables. So what does it mean to be right too early in mathematics? It means you solve a problem before the world has the infrastructure to celebrate it, before printing presses, before standardized textbooks, before a global scientific language. Abu al-Wafa didn't fail to be recognized because his work was wrong. He failed because it was too clean, too technical, too foundational. His math worked so well that later generations forgot it had ever been broken, and that may be the greatest irony of all. The sky we map today, the angles we calculate, the equations we trust, still rest on corrections made in 10th century Baghdad by a man most people have never heard of. Abu al-Wafa al-Buzjan didn't discover the heavens. He made them measurable, and history quietly moved on without saying thank you.